Hello everyone. In the last video we have created a connection between our website and our database, and inside our web database there is a table called student, and we have 7 different columns for 7 fields that we have created in our forms. And when we filled up this form and click on this button, we will insert this value inside this table inside our database. So today we will do this work, and let's see the format of our insert for SQL query. And our query will be quite same when we write it inside our website, and we'll take help from this. And first let's insert one value manually. Then press go, and you can see that SQL query here, and we'll create PHP query from here, and we can take help from these queries because the format is almost same. For this we need to go to our registration.php page, and inside the page after section we will start writing our PHP code. And here so I will start writing, but before that you need to see it here. So after we fill this up, whenever we click on this button, so first we need to check if the button is clicked or not. So for this we will use if condition here. If the button is pressed, we will run our query. So if the button is pressed or not, for checking this we will use a function called isSet. And inside this function we will give variable, and we need to write like this for using variable for button $_post, and then inside third bracket there is a single quotation, and inside them we need to add the button name. And here our button name is submit. You can add any name and just put the name inside this box. So that's how you see that if the button is pressed or not. And if the button is pressed, we will run our SQL query, and for that there are 2 ways for writing this. One will be like this: mysqli underscore query. Then put a semicolon at first, because sometimes we forget this and we get errors even though all the things are actually alright. So inside this we need to give the variable name that we have created for connecting our website to our database. That will be $db. And then comma, and here we are using this format to write. And there will be another one I will show you later, where you create another variable, and then inside that variable you write the query inside a double quotation, and you can write it like this too. Then you just put this variable name beside this db. You can put it here too, but we will not use it. We will directly write the SQL query here, but I will show that way too. So now let's write. For insert, what we need to do, we just need the format first. Here insert into and then table name, and they have used the column names too, but we don't need to do that. We will directly put the value. And for that let's start writing insert into table name. You can just copy those part 2, or you can write it here: insert into, and you can write it in uppercase or lowercase, that doesn't matter. And then write table name. And here you see this sign is not single quotation, right? like we write sometimes, you can find this one at the upper left corner of your keyboard, or you can just keep it like normally just the name of the table. That will work too. But if you write single quotation, it can show error sometimes. It can show error. I actually tried once and it was showing me errors. And then values, and don't forget to give the semicolon. I'm saying again and again because this actually become really problematic if the everything is alright but the value is not as we expect. And then inside this we will give the value that we have written inside the form. Okay, so for writing this we need to write it like this: $_post, and then third bracket. Inside them we will add the name of the field that we are actually giving input as. So first there will be first name, so we have named that as first. You can see our column names and these names are same, so we don't need to worry about it anything, we just need to add them. And then $_post again, and inside it will be our last name, and the name we have saved for our input is last, so we'll use that. And then comma again, space, and let's paste this 7 times, and then we will add the name. Okay, so first, last, and then username, and then password. Make sure that you write the format write all these names in the same sequence as you have created your table and you have created your forms, because otherwise if you give input inside one input and that will be saved in another column, that actually will be problematic. You need to change again. So from the first you need to check the sequence so that it doesn't do anything wrong. Okay, everything is correct in correct order, so we can just proceed. So whenever the button will be pressed, this query will be run, and by this we can just post all those values that we have given input in our form will be written in the database or inside our table. So let's give input, let's give everything randomly. So when we clicked on this, the value should be inserted into our table. Let's go to our table, and you can see the second one, it is actually updated. That was not here before, so those values that we have typed has already been inserted into the table in our database from our website. So the registration is completed. This was the main job actually, and now we will just add some additional features for this, but the main work is done. So just see that you don't use this sign, you can get error. You need to use this, or you can just write normally student. And then we will show a message whenever the user registers successfully. So for this we need to write in JavaScript, and we cannot write JavaScript code inside our PHP code, so we need to actually end this PHP code here. And for this we need to give question mark and then closing angle. And as we have closed, but there is some other part of the PHP code too, so we need to open this PHP again. So this portion start and ends here, and there is another portion start and end and at the last part. So we need to write our JavaScript code in between this. And here, whenever the button will be pressed, this query will run and they will show this message. So we need to write it actually inside this if condition. That is why we need to actually create this ending and opening PHP tag again and again, or else we can just wrote it in another place, but we need this inside this if condition. So inside this we will write script and press tab. Then inside this we will write alert for showing this message, and give a semicolon, and then inside this alert, inside double quotation, we will write our message registration successful. Then save this and let's give another input, or let's register another user. Let's give the name and everything randomly again. And then press the button, and you see registration successful. This message is shown here. That is what we have actually added this time, and let's see if the value is added or not. Here, the third entry that we have just entered right now. So the third user also registered, and now we will see this username. We won't let two users having the same username while they register, because when we will create our login page, there we will match their username and their password, and we cannot control the user what they give their password. So we will just control the username. We will not let two person have the same username to register, okay, at the same time. So for this you can just modify it here and make it unique, this column, so that they only take unique values. But we will do it from our website by writing some code, because we want to show some message too when this happens. So for this, let's take a variable called $count that will be equal to 0 initially, and then we will create another variable called SQL, $SQL, and here we will write our SQL query that I have actually told a little while ago, that how we can write it in another manner too. And if you want, you can write it like the previous one, MySQL I underscore query, and inside them. Okay, so what we will do, we will just take the username from this table. How we can see the username? We can just select them from here. Select, then username, from, then table name, and then press go. Now you see only the usernames are here. So we will use this to select all these usernames from our website. So right here, select username from, then table name, that will be student. And here after this we will create another variable where we will run our query, let's say result, because after this query we will get a result from this query, and the result will be our usernames. That this time we are not giving any input, we are actually getting an output, so that we are giving that output inside this result variable. And inside this MySQL query we will give first the connection variable that we have created in our connection.php page, and then after a comma you can just give the variable name that you have used for your query. And then after this query is run, all this column, all this username will be inside this variable, and after this we will run a loop because our username is more than one, so we need to check every one of these usernames with the new username that the user will type. So we need to check them one by one if any username matches with the name that user is giving as input. So inside the while we will create another variable called row, $row, because we are checking every row. You can give any name here. So here the name will be mysqli underscore fetch, then a sock, and this will be a function, and inside this function we'll give parameter that will be our result, because inside this result we have gotten those usernames previously when we run our query. And now this will actually fetch one by one the username and putting this inside this variable. So we will check this variable and we will only check the username from this variable. So this will be username, and one by one. So this while loop will run 3 times, and if there was 4 element it will run 4 times. So we'll write $row, and then inside the third bracket we will give the name of the column username. This is from our table. While this happens, every time they will take one value from the column username and this will check. So for checking we will use if this one is equal to the name or username that the new user have inserted into the form, and we are using double equal here. This means equal. I think you will know that here one single equal sign means assigning a value inside one variable, and this means that these two are equal. So that's why we are using double equal sign. So if the name from the table is equal to the name that username posted inside the form, that's why we are writing like this $_post and then username that the user give input from the form. So this name and this name, if they are equal, so we just checked it with if condition, and if this happens, what we will do? We will do something here inside the second bracket again, and what we'll do? We will increment the value of count variable. If this happens, that means what? If a name already exists, the count value will not be 0 anymore. Count value will be count plus 1. So now we will use this value of this count variable to check or to run this query whenever there is someone with the same username. So we will write our condition here. The condition will be if $count is equals to 0. When the $count equal to 0, when they will not found the same username in the table. So that means there is no chance of the same name having in the table. So that means this user can register. So this query will run with no problem. And we will show this message too. So this will start from here, from the query, and it will end after this message. So after this message where the PHP has started, we need to add this ending bracket inside the PHP. We cannot give it before the PHP after JavaScript code, because this is from our PHP code. So we need to include this inside our PHP. And after this, here we will write the else condition. That means if the count variable's value is not 0, that means 1 or 2 will not happen, because we will not let that happen. So if this variable's number is equal to more than 0, then that means there is one username with the same name. So we will not let them register and show a message here. So again we need to copy this part. So we will just remove this message and write here the username already exists. And remember again to copy from the ending of PHP and the starting of PHP, because this part is our JavaScript code and we cannot write it inside the PHP. That's why we need to end the PHP, write those JavaScript code, and then again start the PHP. So let's give the value and let's give the same username. One username is C. Let's say we will give the same username C as input, and then password, then role, and then let's give an email. As this is character, it can actually take anything. So let's just wait. Okay, you can see the username already exists. So the value is not inserted here. Whenever this message will show this user cannot register, that means this value will not be inserted into our table. Okay, so let's just insert someone with a different username and see if our code is actually working or is it showing something wrong. We have given our username as D, and there is no username with the username D, so it should actually show that successful message, but it is showing the wrong message. That's why you need to double check every time you do something. So that means we have actually written something wrong in our code. We need to check it again, and let's see, the password is D, but the username, no username has the name as D, so that means our code is wrong somewhere. Let's check our code. First, see if you have given any parenthesis in a wrong place. No, every parenthesis is in the correct place. Then that means we have done something else. Okay, the table name doesn't actually matter, because this here the case doesn't matter. You can write it in uppercase or lowercase, but still let's keep it like that, and let's see if this works. It will not actually. Maybe the error is somewhere else, because the case doesn't actually do something. Every case is same for query. So yeah, this is not the thing. So you can write your table name in any case, but we need to find our error. Where is it? This also doesn't matter, because if you don't do this, still it will work. But where? Okay, this line is alright too. Okay, inside the variable we have actually given one equal sign here. We need to give double equal sign. Now let's see. We need to give integer value for role because we have given the type as integer and the contact too. Okay, why is this loading? Okay, I think I need to restart the jump again. Every page is loading. Okay, it has finally loaded. So this time it is working properly. Okay, let's just restart the XAMPP. Now I hope it will work. Okay, let's give another input. And we have given a different username. This name should register and we should see the successful message. Let's see if this works or not. Registration successful. Okay, now let's go to our library and then inside that we have a table. Let's go there, and yes, the last one is actually here. So let's give the another registration with same username, and the same username, let's say C again, and other things are random. And now let's press the button. The username already exists, so you can load this page again and you see there is now other entries here. So that means our code is now working. So the error was here. You need to put double equal sign here because I have actually used one equal sign, so there is some error. We cannot assign here, we were just comparing there, so we need to equal these two things and compare them.